go, Dre, Jay. It's your boy Neal, back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with F1 Explain the steering wheel. And I've been wanting to see an explanation of this steering wheel because there's so many buttons and things on it that it's like how does somebody drive using all that? What's every button for? And I'm excited to jump into this and find out. Before we do though, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, give the video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. What we got?
There's 3 rookies on the grid this year. There's a lot for them to get used to. Formula One cars are so complex, and so many of those complexities lie with this, the steering wheel. It's something they're going to have to get up to speed with very, very quickly.
Talk to me.
So they'll already be used to many of the buttons from Formula 2, which they've all graduated from. You've got the team radio, the pit lane speed limiter. This will be the DRS on the top left, and the overtake button, the deployment of the energy in race conditions. These are pretty much the most commonly used, and that's why they're situated in those positions. This is Fernando Alonso's layout for Alpine. He's got them exactly where, when you're holding the wheel, you can access those ones very, very easily. So they're the ones that the rookie drivers will already know. But there's so much more on here. There's gadgets everywhere that the drivers are going to have to get up to speed with. The next one's really a performance tools. Unlike in Formula 2, in Formula 1, you can tune your car around the lap, and it makes a huge difference to performance. And there's 4 different areas you can do this. You've got mid, entry, and then you've got more neatly on this, you've got the high speed and the exit up there. But you can see from here what Fernando's more likely going to be using, diff mid and the diff entry. And these you can just really isolate the areas of the corner where you want the diff to just drop and give you some rotation, or stay locked and help you keep stability in the car.
That is legit insanity that these cars are capable of doing all of this. It is, and it shouldn't be insane to me, but it is. Like, and that there's all these buttons like that you have to learn. And I'm sure if you made it to F1 driving and you've been there for a while, like these buttons are like, now you know every single button. You know when to press. You know exactly when to turn, which knob. You know exactly these buttons like the back of your hand. But Jesus, like this is amazing.
On top of this, the braking is very, very important in Formula 1 cars, and it's more powerful again than Formula 2, and there's more you can do with it than Formula 2. You've got brake mats. Brake by wire means you can control for how much pressure you get different amounts front and rear. And Fernando's got his brake shape here, and he can adjust that on the fly with this rotary. On top of that, it's got brake balance up here, so you can change the overall balance rather than the actual shape of the mat, depending on what you want, and corner to corner as well. So you might notice, apart from the DRS, which would be labelled there, we've got 2 more blank ones down here, and on the back you can see the upshift, the downshift, the clutch paddles, but also these 2 levers, and these are big adjusts. So these are left basically blank, and you can preset on here what you want as a driver for various corners. So after FP2, FP3, the drivers get an idea of what they want from the car in particular corners. So they might know they come into turn 8, for example, in Bahrain, it's downhill, the rear is always locking a bit more. They can preset that they want to move the brake bias forward, they want to lock the diff a little bit more, and they can do it all with a click of one of these big adjusters, or maybe the push of that button down there. And all that means you've got quite a powerful tool around the lap, and that's something that Formula 2 graduates are going to have to really get used to, because there is a lot of performance in it. And if you can,
this is legit insanity to me. Like, this steering wheel is like another language to me. I would be driving like, guys, I don't know what to do or how to do it, or yeah, this ain't for me. I can't figure this out for the life of me.
You can get used to dialing all these details in around the lap. You can find a bit of time. Of course, it's hard work though. You can imagine they're driving flat out. You've got to put the final 10th into your own driver performance, let alone start fiddling with all these switches around the lap. So there's a balance to be had probably between absolute performance and honing it for every single corner, and actually just driving around with what you've got a little bit more, but working on your own simple things like the braking, the throttle application. And if you get one of these wrong and you're in the wrong switch at the wrong time, you can find a nasty surprise at the next corner. I mean, you can see there's so much more as well than just those performance aspects that I run through and the staples on the top. You've got all this big rotary, this multi-function switch, which is full of absolute detail. You've got fail A and fail B. Now these are things that you hope you won't have to use as you're in a whole season maybe, but from time to time the engineers will pass on the information during a race that, okay, you need to use fail A XX now.
Fail 1, fail Max, fail 1, fail.
So the drivers would have to go bam, flick through with these plus and minus to find the right one on the dash and press OK to confirm their fail A. They're basically Control-Alt-deleting their own problem from the car now. It's quite clever, but it's hard work for the drivers to do this. It's a lot of switch changes, and they're still driving flat out normally in the middle of race conditions when they're doing this. So that bit's particularly tough, particularly for the engine. The energy.
Yes, to have to do that, bro, is insanity while driving at that such high speed, bro. But I guess that's why they get paid big bucks. I guess that's why, you know what I'm saying? That's why they've made it this far, is because they're able to handle these situations. But Jesus.
Energy management is the big one now, and controlling the amount of energy in the battery at any given time is also the job of the driver. You want to have enough state of charge in the battery so you can deploy it all with that overtake button when you're looking to overtake or defend from another driver. There's the recharge button on here. That's predominantly for recharging before a qualifying lap or a one-off big one. But there's also different modes that you can have, and that's this scenario switch, which the drivers will change to if they want to slowly recharge the battery over a number of laps, or perhaps they want to put in 4 fast ones. They'll deploy a bit of energy through that run as well. All in all, a huge amount to try and get up to speed with. And for the rookies, they'll be given a manual of this. It's pretty simple. At the start of the season, they need to get up to speed with it. Stoffel Van Dorn made his debut here, and he had really short notice. And he literally read the manual on an overnight flight from Japan so he could get up to speed. If you don't know where these switches are, you could end up looking pretty silly.
Approaching turn 9.
Let's see if he looks down on his steering wheel before he... Yeah, a bit embarrassing. I think he's not going to be looking down his steering wheel during the corners anymore, is he?
So there's other stuff on here as well that's predominantly used for testing. You've got aeros.
I can't even be mad at dude who just turned like that, because there's so much on it, bro. Like, you almost have to look down. The fact that there's so many drivers capable of not looking down and just knowing instinctively is just crazy to me.
Speed runs. You've got your delta times on here as well when there's a safety car or an in-lap from qualifying, and you can switch to those on this multi-function switch. Now this is Fernando Alonso's steering wheel from Alpine, but it happens to be the same steering wheel as I used back in 2016 at Renault. The rate of steering wheel development isn't that great, and effectively what's been on there is all the same. With the same technology on the cars, there's not a lot more that can be done to the steering wheels. There are differences though across the teams. Some will have extra buttons on the back or paddles in different places, and some drivers would want to have their switches in certain places as well. For example, Daniel Ricciardo was in the Renault last year. He's moved to McLaren. He'll be taking probably a lot of what he had at Renault to McLaren, and probably that was from what he had at Red Bull as well. Just because your driver's memory, you're driving along, you don't want to have to start thinking about new switch positions, extra things to do.
That's facts. That makes sense.
When you're driving a Formula 1 car at the absolute peak of its performance.
Jesus, it's so much that goes into, man. That's how. Do the women have their own league, or has there been a woman that's gotten into F1 ever? This stuff intrigues me. That's all we got. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. It's your boy D Neal. Out.